KPAL News Time is 7:53. It's Acadiana's Morning News. Bernadette Lee and Brandon Como here with you. And joining us here in the studio is Gerald Judice, a District 8 candidate for Lafayette City Parish Council. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All right, so how has it been out on the campaign trail? I bet you're looking forward to tomorrow's elections. And just how's the whole process been?
It's been really exciting. It's been a fun process. It's a little different than I expected, but on the same token, I've worked with the public all of my life.
Sure,
I talk to strangers on a daily basis as well as good friends.
Of course, yeah.
Knocking on doors was kind of a fun deal for me.
Well, what's been different about it? You mentioned the differences. What kind of did happen that you didn't really expect?
I guess it's just different as the aspect I've never had to go publicize myself. I'm not used to doing that. I prefer talking about issues, prefer talking about things going on in the day or my business or sports.
Yeah.
But walking around and publicizing myself or promoting myself is not something I'm accustomed to doing.
Right.
But it's been a very fun race, and I got to compliment the other opponents in the race as well as a lot of the parish council races. It's been very clean, we're discussing what we want to do and not necessarily, taking out each other.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think it's,
No,
you guys have all done a great job. You're right.
Very cordial to each other as they're all passing each other
Yeah,
in the
I know.
hallways.
I thought that was so great.
Well, we've become actually pretty good friends.
Yeah.
We cross each other quite a bit, and we're all good people, I believe. And it's been a good race. It's been a good experience, and I'm just looking forward to tomorrow now.
Yeah, I bet so.
So tell them a little bit more about yourself. Obviously your involvement in the community, and what made you want to jump into this race.
I've worked on several campaigns for friends of mine and stuff, so I've always had an intrigue with general politics, and I generally like to call it running for elected office, not being a politician. I don't like being called a politician. I don't think it's an awful thing. It's just it has a bad stench on it, and I'd rather just be called an elected official if possible. Right. But generally, I've worked on boards and on my church parish council and stuff. I like sharing what time and talents that I have outside of work. It's going to be a whole different world for me as far as running a restaurant, running a theater. But like I said, I've always worked with the public, so I interact with the public all the time. It's going to be a good experience, I believe. And I'm concerned about this city. I have come from a large family with very deep roots in this city, and I want to have a little bit of a say in the outcome of the things that we're doing and the way we're moving. So.
Well, and I think you made a good point too. Not to be called a politician, but to be called an elected official, because you know what? At the end of the day, you're a person, you have a family, you have your people who live here, you live here. So I'm sure you've encountered some of the same discussion points and needs while talking to people that you and your family have as well.
Exactly. Government service is not going to be the same as running a business. But it follows the same principles. You walk in there and you have to approach things the same way you would your family, your home, your business. When there's a problem that needs to be fixed, you got to take care of it. When there's things you want, you have to make sure you try to achieve them. But on the same token, it has to be feasible. It has to be economically feasible as well as feasible to do the project in the first place. So
that's certainly true. I think it follows those lines.
So if you're elected, how do you plan to use your seat to represent the voice of the voters?
Well, basically, I think all 9 of us that are going to be sitting on the parish council need to start working as a group and not as individuals. We do represent our individual districts, but what's best for the whole is going to be best for each district as well. There's going to be points where we disagree on certain things or have different opinions on how something should be done. But you have to have a working relationship with not only the council, with all the other little cities and communities around Lafayette, because the city parish council is great. The public voted to consolidate the city and the parish, and they voted just 2 years ago to keep that form of government. But the city of Lafayette is kind of the big brother to this area. It needs to have its own representation as well as the city parish council representing the whole parish. So there's going to be some things that we're going to need to address and adjust to make sure that the city of Lafayette is well represented for itself as well as taking care of the whole parish.
As we have a minute left for you, we always like to have the candidate just talk to the listeners and the voters about, why you're hoping that they will pick you and select you for the seat when they vote tomorrow.
Well, one thing is, I can promise that the the voters of the parish that I will work hard just as I've done my entire life. I think every candidate is going to say that same thing. Mm-hmm. My experience working with the public, my experience working with people and running a business is going to give me a perspective of how to address certain things. You have to prioritize the needs. You have to look at the feasibility of the things you want to do and try to accomplish those things in a constructive manner. The biggest thing, too, is you have to complete what you start. You can't just start 25 projects and have them go on for years and years and years. I believe that, a little bit more focus on projects that are first of all, most important, and then making sure they come to completion in a reasonable amount of time. And I think you're going to find the voters are going to be pleased with that. And I think they're tired of talking about all these wonderful things that we're going to do, and they just don't ever seem to happen.
Yeah, certainly. Well, Gerald Judice has been our guest. He is, of course, one of the three folks running for the seat, Lafayette City Parish Council, District 8. I want to thank you so much for coming in this morning and sharing your time with us today. And obviously, we'll be talking and chatting with you.
To come talk. Well, thank y'all very much for having me, and I appreciate y'all having this forum for us to come talk.
Yes, sir. Coming up now on 7:59.